Welcome back to Speed Street, another edition, a very exciting edition of Speed Street today. I am back. I feel better than ever. Apologies for last week. I know that Conor and Ben talked about it, but really had a ravaging of the house here, the Mulinaro household. It came and went in phases. My wife got COVID Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. My 2-month-old son was feeling under the weather, which was very scary. I mean, he's okay, thankfully, but it was very
That's
scary
good.
as a first parent. For like Thursday, Friday, and then all of a sudden, of course, it got me really Friday through Monday morning. But I'm feeling great now. We're all clear. Everybody's good here. The reason I missed last week is because my wife was pretty much bedridden, and I couldn't record with the 2-month-old on my lap, and so I had to miss last week. But I'm glad to be back. We got a fantastic show for you. Boston Scott, running back for the undefeated, looks like Super Bowl contending Philadelphia Eagles, joins us on the show, talks about his racing fandom, the season that the Eagles are having, a whole bunch of stuff. It's a lot of fun. But we got a whole lot else to talk about as well. And I can't do it without our guy, Conor Daly. What's up, bro?
We're glad you're back, Joey. Glad you fought through the sicknesses, the family program there. It seems like if one takes a hit, everyone goes down. You know what I mean? It's a team effort.
Yep.
But yeah, as you said, really cool show ahead. Boston Scott. Obviously, we like to, we've interviewed actors before, we've interviewed music folk before. We like to kind of mesh the worlds of professional, whatever it is. It could be professional badminton players. We don't have any of those on the show yet, but maybe someday.
Pickleball.
Pickleball's blowing up right now. We want to get, different athletes from different sports, different professionals from different areas of their careerdom. I don't think that's a word. But it's just exciting. It's just exciting to hear, well, hey, like we watch this guy play on Sundays, Thursday nights, maybe Monday nights. And he's actually a big race fan and even wants to be a race car driver. So there's a lot there that I think is really, really exciting. Great interview. But yeah, a lot to talk about on the NASCAR side. Obviously the championship was decided. Everyone talking about it, lots of crazy, potentials there. And it ended up really not being as exciting as it could have been, I don't think. And then I raced a Chevy El Camino over the weekend in Houston, Texas. So lots happening. Joey, what was your initial thought on the old NASCAR championship weekend? We had 3 championships being decided: Trucks, Xfinity, and Cup.
Yeah, I mean, Xfinity, first off, really, as we all know, just terrible, sad, tragic news.
Yes.
Really, in the NASCAR world too. I mean, I'm still trying to wrap my head around how, young Ty Gibbs, claims the championship, and then not even 12 hours later, we're finding out about the unfortunate passing of his father. And it's just, man, I mean, life comes at you fast, dude. It's so cliche and everybody says it every day, it feels like, but holy cow. I mean, that is just unthinkable, really. I mean, it's so hard to wrap your head around still.
Yeah, I mean, very, very sad. And what a wave of emotion for Ty as well, because you had so many people coming after him, including myself after the Martinsville race. Like, you know what I mean? Because like it was a tough move, not a great thing. But again, I think in racing and hopefully the world in general, when something like that happens, it doesn't matter, what happened at the race before. You know what I mean? It's the racing family. It's a racing family. And when you lose a member of that family, it's very, very sad, especially someone as influential, a member of the Gibbs family. I mean, goodness gracious, there's so much of, not only in NASCAR, but, Supercross. They had the Supercross team as well. In the NFL world, obviously, Joe Gibbs being big NFL guy. That family has, arms outstretched everywhere. So very, very sad. I think the one, the one thing that I was really glad to see was that there was that great family photo that they took after, Ty winning that championship. That made your heart feel like, hey, you know what? That's a beautiful scene. Very, very sad no matter what, but like, to have Ty there with the trophy and his dad, his family. I mean, it's like, that was great to see. And what just a wild Sunday all of a sudden, you know what I mean? Cause you had driver, they were figuring out what driver to put in the 23 car for the cup race. And everyone's like, what the heck's going on? What the heck's going on here? And just obviously the worst possible news that you could have heard. So very, very sad. We definitely, are sending our thoughts and prayers to the Gibbs family and Ty. But yeah, just kind of, a wild and crazy weekend in general when it comes to motorsports. The truck championship, Zane Smith, winner. And you know what? Zane Smith was a beer pong teammate of mine at one point. That's the only real claim to fame that I have with Zane Smith. I obviously got to race with him a little bit in the trucks, but he was much faster than I was. So that's really cool for him. Ty Gibbs winning the Xfinity Championship. Noah Gragson put really everything he had into it. And again, tough for Noah there because that last pit stop was like, yikes. That was a big deciding factor because I think he had to work his tires pretty hard to get back to the front. And he did. He drove his way back to second, but just did not have enough for Ty. Ty did not make any mistakes. And that was that. So, two great races. I was hoping for a little bit more, maybe a little last lap, rub-a-dub-dub, send everybody into the wall type thing, but that didn't happen. So we looked for it on Sunday and it didn't happen either, sadly.
Yeah, I thought it was, speaking of friend of the show, Noah Gragson, he made there's a lot of publicity about his comments about Ty last week, right, about how, it just comes out, I don't like him. But I thought it was a good move on his part. I enjoyed seeing him after that duel that they had on Saturday to go over there, shake his hand, hey, that was a hell of a drive, and he admitted it afterwards. So, I appreciated that. I thought that was cool. I thought that was well played.
Noah gets it. Like you got to do that, right? Like you guys both put everything you got into this. You're throwing your emotions, your physical abilities on the line. You're putting everything into it to try to win the championship. And in racing, there's only one winner, and there's only one group of people that get to celebrate. Like most other sports, but it's NFL weekends, there are, many winners across the NFL. In motor racing, there's one winner, and that's a tough one. So good to see Noah do that. And again, Noah is obviously, he's won so many races. There's nothing that he should be upset about. Obviously he wanted to win the championship, cap it off. It felt like he should have with all the wins that he had. But the whole point of the chase and that final four, 60% of me doesn't like it, 40% of me does. I don't know, because like imagine you win a bunch of races all season long, and that last race something mechanical happens and you're like, oh well, we lost the championship. You know what I mean? Part of me doesn't like it, but part of me does find it exciting, and the lead up and the elimination of certain drivers as we go. What are your opinions, Joey, on that whole chase format? Like obviously our IndyCar championship went down to the final round. We had guys battling for a championship, so it was exciting all the way through. But do you like that format?
It's intended to build the dramatics, correct?
Yes.
So, for me, it builds the dramatics, but I don't really know. I'm not well endowed into NASCAR enough to really have that much of an opinion on it. I follow it now because of the show and because I understand, and I'm like, okay, the chase, yeah, like I see what's going on. Like these are the drivers that are in the final four. Like this is what's important. This is why we're following them. You know what I mean? But how would you go about it if it wasn't?
Honestly, there's the regular points championship, right? You have the regular, the way IndyCar does it, right? And I actually even like part of me likes the Formula One point system too, right? Because if you don't score any points unless you finish in the top 10, which is, that means fighting for that 10th position is a big deal. So part of me likes that. Part of me likes the chase because, again, it doesn't matter what's happened all season long. The guy who barely made it into that final four still has a chance to win. It's not like he's 100 points behind. So again, it's you find a lot of people, I think, on this interesting debate about how a championship should be finished. But again, I like the Formula One point system because if you're fighting in that mid-pack range, every point counts. It's wild. Obviously, when you win, you get the most points. But I actually think a Formula One point system in IndyCar would be very interesting. I think it would be difficult because there are so many cars now that like a 14th place finish matters a lot in IndyCar. Like if you're finishing in the top 15, that matters. Like that's, if you're racing against 27, 33 people, whatever it is, like shoot, a top 15 finish is a solid finish. So I think we might, it could be adjusted, but I like the chase format. I don't think IndyCar needs it because we have a very, very competitive championship all the way to the end, no matter what. But yeah, that's kind of my general thoughts. There's always good and bad things to each format, I guess.
Right. Everyone's gonna have a complaint, no matter how it goes or what the format or situation is. Yeah.
Yeah. Especially on the internet, everyone hates everything at some point. So
it's just like college football. It's like, BCS, let's get a playoff. Got a playoff. Not enough teams. Well, I think the computer actually had it right. It's just there's always something.
Yeah. And speaking of college football as well, you big weekend for the old LSU Tigers, huh?
LSU. Yes, sir, man. It was unbelievable. I know Mike Davis, one of our bosses, big Alabama guy. Big Roll Tide guy. I didn't text him afterwards. Look, here's the situation. I'm pretty down and out with the sickness on Saturday evening.
Yikes.
So we turn in early. Me and the wife and the baby are upstairs, lights off, TV on by 8:30, 9 o'clock. That game started at 7:30, I think. So I'm watching the entirety of it pretty much from my bedroom with a wife and a baby that are trying to sleep. So you can imagine how difficult and how much discipline I had to have not to clap, not to make a sound, not
emotionally neutral.
Yeah. I mean, I had to keep it all inside. It was like my buddy said because after LSU went for 2 and got it, I had like 18 texts come through of just, different people, friends, whatever. Oh my God, holy cow, holy shit. And I was telling my buddy, I was like, all I could do is like Gary Bertier style and remember the Titans, like in my bed and just like raise my arms silently, just do that. He was like, yeah, you're like Kurt Russell in Miracle when he walked into the hallway and just like silently celebrated away from everyone. That was pretty much me. Big weekend on the college football front for LSU. Super, super excited. I told you last year after the hire in December on this show, I told you on Speedster, you can go back and check it out. I'm wearing the exact same crew neck. Brian Kelly is a great hire for the Tigers, great hire for LSU. Everybody can spare me with he doesn't fit. He's a blah, blah, blah. No. Year one, comes back from having a team that had 39 scholarship players in January. He's 7th in the country, just beat Alabama his first go around. He's going to the SEC championship if he just plays it out the rest of the way. You can go back and check me on it. I called it since last December. So we're riding high.
I remember it.
Friend. We're riding high. Yeah.
I do remember. I remember sitting in our little studio. I remember seeing it. I remember seeing that crew neck sweater. I get it. And what I find fascinating now, again, I'm not a college guy, did not go to the schools, did not attend any college football games. Really, I might have gone to a Ball State game once. But I don't mind seeing Alabama lose because it was like, I compare it to growing up watching Michael Schumacher win everything. And for a long time, Michael Schumacher was a hero of mine, but I kind of at some point was like, I want someone else to win. You know what I mean? Like I wanted someone else to win. So I don't mind seeing, a powerhouse Your best friend Nick Saban, down for the count a little bit. Hey, let's rebuild it. I don't know, whatever he's got to do. And again, college football, I still am not fully sold on it, but I like to see what it does to people and how people react to it.
You of all people would absolutely love a college football Saturday.
I guess so.
You down in Baton Rouge, with me and my family, we would have a phenomenal time down there. It is, and that's not just LSU. Hell, you could here in Indiana, you could go to Notre Dame, you could go to Purdue. IU has a great tailgate. The Big Ten country is all around us. I know you travel to Iowa, more frequently than I do. Go to Iowa, check out that scene.
The old Hawkeyes, yeah.
we got to get you there, man. I'm riding high. Definitely because my Steelers are really not good. So with LSU coming through, it's been a very good blessing this fall for sure. Real quick before we get to Boston Scott, some more big NASCAR news that happened over the week from last time we recorded. Old JJ, Jimmie Johnson, making his way back into the NASCAR world in a big way, man.
Yeah, very interesting. He's now paired up with Petty GMS. And Petty used to just be Petty, and then it was Petty GMS, and now it's Petty GMS with a hint of Jimmie Johnson. You know what I mean? So it's an interesting strategy to diversify the ownership there, but probably smart because again, these NASCAR charters and these NASCAR teams are becoming quite a valuable entity. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, after my sponsor I know has been looking into kind of all the overall cost, because we obviously did one cup race. We know what that costs, and he knows kind of what that looks like. And he's like, well, how do people do this on a full-time basis, right? And he kind of looks at it and he's like, oh wow, the charters are worth a lot of money. So it's an interesting system. And again, I think you'll see. I think that's why Michael Jordan is involved. I think you'll see more and more, maybe athletes from other sports get involved with teams. I'm curious to see how it plays out because I know, our sponsor. I know Todd had a few conversations with the folks at Petty GMS as well. And yeah, it's interesting to see. But the thing that I found most surprising was that like Jimmie's going back cup racing again, you know what I mean, for a few races. So like I had kind of assumed that, hey, he'll probably do some IndyCar races, but it looks like now he's going to be, kind of dipping his toe in both ponds, I guess, because I assume he's still going to do some IndyCar ovals, definitely the Indy 500.
Do you think?
But he's
so. You think no doubt? Definitely.
I don't think there's a doubt, but to be honest, I guess I don't know. But if he's confident in his Petty GMS situation and they can give him a great car for the Daytona 500 and whatever else he wants to do, then that kind of puts him in I would only assume is a pretty cool part of life, right? Because you're like, hey, you know what? I'm going to show up, do just the races that I want, the races that I think we could be most competitive in, and then go back to my boat. You know what I mean? And or do something on the the family horse farm. I don't know, whatever they got going on at the Johnson household. Still a hopefully future friend of the show when Jimmie Johnson comes on this show. Hopefully I can convince him to come on at some point, but he's very famous and very, very big celebrity. So yeah, interesting news indeed. I think it seemed like a lot of people were kind of surprised about that. But yeah, cool for Jimmie. Happy for him. Great dude overall. And I mean, I think before we get to Boston, let's just go over the NASCAR Cup race that happened. I mean, I was hoping for a little bit more juice in the last few laps.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people assumed it might have been Joey versus Chase, maybe Christopher Bell, but it seemed like the most, when it comes to like gambling odds or whatever that, like I would have assumed you could put probably Chase and Joey as the two guys fighting for it. And then Chase, kind of getting in a bit of a scuffle with Ross, which I don't think was Ross was intentionally spinning him out. But yeah, what I did enjoy seeing for the last 10 laps was Ross just driving his butt off, like he's just going for it. But I I think without a doubt that Penske car was the class of the field. I don't think you were going to beat Joey on that day. He had the car, he had the team to do it, and he had everyone. Everything clicked, everything worked. So not as crazy. We didn't see any wall riding. We didn't see any people wrecking each other's heads off. We saw a straight up battle of two guys just trying to haul the mail to the finish line.
Yeah, and I caught the tail end, probably the last half of the race on Sunday, and Chase Briscoe. I know he wasn't in the Final Four, if you will, but he was
great though. Friend of the show.
He was running up there. So obviously pulling for him. That was great. I'm just always so fascinated by that track. Every time that I watch a race there, it's just like it makes me want to go. I'm like, this looks, the scenery obviously is phenomenal, but then just the absolute debauchery that it looks like when they're coming into that 6 wide turn. I mean, it's insane, man. I just want to go see it in person.
Yeah, Phoenix has done a fascinating job with the facility, but with also altering what they have to spice up the entertainment, which I think is cool. I think I don't think there are many other tracks that could do that because there are not many tracks that have that shape, right? So they took their unique package, what they have, Phoenix. It's a little odd. I got to race there in the IndyCar series twice, and that's insane for us. I mean, we were pulling almost 6 Gs flat out max downforce through that. I mean, it was absurdly fast. But I thought it was awesome. Like, I thought racing there was so fun. I wish we could have done it. But again, we didn't sell any tickets, so that's sad. But maybe if we marketed better, we could do that. I don't know. But anyway, it's one of those things that I loved seeing. You love to see the differences in lines, right? Turns 3 and 4 now, right before the start finish line. The guys can run the low line and the high line, and then 1 and 2, there are people running way below the yellow line, like whereas us in IndyCar, like that's where we would be pitting. Right. But they're running anywhere. The whole track's open play. And that I find is fascinating because, again, as a driver, you got to go wherever you can go. You know what I mean? Where there's space, you'll take it. Where there's clean air, you'll take it. And so I think that more important than ever in the Cup Series now is that clean air. And you had a bunch of people trying to find it no matter where it was. So yeah. It is a very cool track. I still don't know if it's the best track for the final, but it does create an interesting driver-specific environment. Like, hey, you got to drive this place if you really want to win it. So, congrats to Joey Logano and Penske, Roger Penske. First time he's won the IndyCar Championship and the NASCAR Cup Championship in the same year, which, again, awesome. Let's take some of that prize money, inject it into IndyCar marketing or something like that. I don't know what we got going on there, but excited for Roger. Obviously, he puts together an incredible operation still. There's nothing like Team Penske. It was cool to see. And now, again, I don't know Joey Logano at all, but hey, I got to race with him once, so that's cool.
Yeah, you said it, man. Penske, IndyCar, and NASCAR Cup. Penske perfect, as they say, which is a nice segue to our next guest, Boston Scott, who is right now on the Philadelphia Perfect Eagles. They are 8-0, 9-0, 10-0. I think they're 9-0. They're whatever it is, they're undefeated. So great conversation with our pal Boston Scott, running back for the Philadelphia Eagles. Let's get into it.
All right, we have an incredible guest this week. Very, very talented elite athlete, motor racing fan first, and then elite athlete as well. Football hero to many, and a race fan, which I was very, very excited to discover. Boston Scott with the Philadelphia Eagles, currently undefeated. How are you doing, my friend? We appreciate you being on.
Doing great, my guy. I appreciate you having me on, bro. And I love the racing fan first, elite athlete. Yeah. That comes second. Love it.
Yeah, love it. I part of this podcast, I love having, like, we've had DJs on, we've had actors on, we've had different people. And I like to basically introduce our fan base or the racing fans to people who you never know, like, might be into racing, because we're obviously trying to grow this sport. We're trying to help IndyCar. We're trying to get IndyCar to that next level. And like, I love having people tell their story about what got them interested in it. Right. So like, what got you interested in the motor racing scene, in general?
Yeah, for sure. So it started off as a little kid, man. You can ask anybody in my family, bro. It didn't matter where we went, what we did. I always had 10 Hot Wheels cars in each pocket, bro. Like I brought it with me everywhere. And I was notorious for getting lost at the mall because my mom would be shopping or whatever. My brother doing his thing, my sister doing her thing. I'd be on the escalator. I would have a Hot Wheels car and I could sit there and watch the wheels just turn. And my imagination would take care of the rest. So like ever since then, man, I've just been a huge fan of anything racing related with cars. Like it's something I've always been very enthusiastic about. So it's a love of mine for sure.
What was so you and Conor, the first I saw that you guys linked up, and correct me if I'm wrong, but was at Mid-Ohio this year at the IndyCar race there. How did y'all get to meet up there? And was that your first time at Mid-Ohio? What were your thoughts on that race?
Yeah, first of all, love your impressions. They're great. But
Thanks, man.
Yeah, so Mid-Ohio was my first IndyCar event. That was my first racing event, excuse me. But me and Conor actually met during COVID through Austin Eckler because he had a group called Gridiron Gaming Group, which is basically like a bunch of athletes come together, and the mission was basically just to connect with the gaming community because it's something that we all had a passion for gaming. And that was just a way for us to kind of bridge the gap between, fans and the athletes. So that's kind of how we ended up connecting. The first time I saw him, like, I was just like, bruh, like, this is my first time meeting an actual driver. So I was like, dang, this is like the guy. Like, this is he actually drives you know what I mean? So it was super exciting, man. We were able to play like a little racing game. I was on a laptop at the time, so the quality was pretty bad, but it was still a good time. It was still a good time. And we kind of stayed connected from there. Just kind of, shooting texts back and forth, just stayed in contact with him. Great dude, man. And so, we've been able to kind of establish a little connection, a little relationship. And it's been, was able to go out to Mid-Ohio and spend some time with him and his family, watch him do what he does, man. And it's incredible. Like, just incredible. So
what a world we're living in. Like the whole world shut down, right? And you were a friend that I connected with. Austin Eckler, obviously running back for the Chargers, was a guy that I connected with. And again, had the world not shut down, I probably would have interacted with any of you guys. You know what I mean? Like, and it's the same with Travis Pastrana. Like I just spent the weekend with Travis Pastrana. He was a hero of mine growing up. And we all connected through the whole world shutdown, and we all played video games. You know what I mean? So a fascinating thing to think about. And honestly, did it suck? Yes, but a lot of really cool connections were made, and a lot of really cool friendships started through that. And yeah, like I know you wanted to come to a race, and when the world got started back up again and everything was kind of going again, everything got busy, but I was like, hang on a second, we got to get you out here to an event. And what I thought was really cool is that you were like, hey, just give me which ones I should go to. And like, I'm going to book, like, it's not like you live near Mid-Ohio. Like you booked a flight to go to Mid-Ohio to go to your first IndyCar race. We got you in the IndyCar 2-seater. What was your kind of general impression? Because like we love IndyCar. We're trying to get people, IndyCar out to the masses. We struggle right now with just awareness, right? People knowing about us. And so, what did you think of the atmosphere, the event, the ride, everything in general?
Yeah, man. I honestly, like the entire event was so well done, so well put together. And I don't really think people understand just how thorough these events are. You know what I mean? I was able to run into the owner of the track, and I mean, it's just a beautiful venue with, ways for fans to interact, during the races, during practices. Like they make sure that if you're a fan of racing and you're at one of these events, you're taken care of in a lot of ways, from food to, a virtual experience. They had like the driving simulator there, a lot of merch that you could buy. You know what I mean? You can interact with some of the drivers. You know what I mean? So it's a well put together. Like these events are just really, really well put together. I enjoyed myself, dog. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, like whenever we were able to set this up and line this up, bro, I was fanboying to my girl. Like the crazy, I was like, oh, we're gonna do this. I'm gonna see all the cars. We're gonna hear it. I don't care. I'm not wearing the little things that you put in your ear. I'm not doing
earplugs.
it. You know what I'm saying? No earplugs, bro. I'm there for it. And then I was able to meet Mario Andretti. Wow. You know, when I saw him for the first time, he might as well have been floating. Like I was just like, that is actually the dude, man. So yeah, bro.
The ride, the 2-seater ride.
I mean, it was crazy. Yeah. So the fastest car that I've driven is a Lamborghini Huracan, right? And it's a straight line beast. You know what I mean? Not as good in the corners, but it was intense. Honestly, intense. You know what I mean? Like it's one of those things where, you know, for the NFL, right? You watch it on TV and you're like, you know, oh man, if I was 6'2" and I could do this. But whenever you actually get into the seat and you experience the constant G's, the constant stress it puts on your body just because of how fast you're going, you know what I mean? And you have to do that for 80 laps or however long, you know, it's incredible, man. So it really puts things into perspective of, you know, how intense it is and how, you know, you guys really have to prepare to be able to excel at that. And you have to do it for an entire season. It's crazy to me. Crazy.
Boston, it sounds like we need to get you out to Indy for the Indy 500 in May.
Hey man, look, bro. From Formula D, Rallycross, like what's it called with Kim Block, Gymkhana?
Yeah, the Gymkhana,
like,
yeah.
I've watched all the way up to 6. I'm sure he's made more. I saw the one where he was doing the electric car, but I would watch the Gymkhana videos, man. Like, bro, I'm a fan of it. Le Mans, IMSA, like all that, bro. I try and watch like whenever I can. I love watching like little highlights, and so if it was up to me, man, I would go to every racing event I could, man, because especially with going to the IndyCar event, man, it's dope, bro.
Yeah, I know OTAs and stuff are usually around that time in May, but we'll have to get you out there because if you thought, I mean, we all love Mid Ohio. I go every year too.
Yeah,
fantastic, but. You think Mid Ohio is something, you got to get you to the greatest spectacle. I want to ask about the Eagles, about your football life. Why'd you have to do my Steelers like that, man? Why'd you gotta do them like that? You got pull off the gas pedal, go up to Jalen, say, hey, let's just take it easy a little bit. I mean, geez.
When you step in between them lines, bro, it's war. We going at it. We going at it. Nah, it's been cool.
Do you guys help Coach Sirianni? He's a close personal friend of mine. Do you guys help him with his pregame fits, with the Eagles throwbacks, with the AI jerseys? I mean, he's killing it.
Yeah, man. That's his own little swag, man. Kudos to him, man. He's definitely embraced the city, and it seems like the city's embracing him. So he does a good job with, you know, putting on the right fits and all that. And he comes like every week he comes in with a different T-shirt with highlighting the player. So, you know, he's definitely a player's coach, and that's cool. That's cool to see. So I hadn't seen anything like that before.
You guys are obviously, I mean, having such a fantastic season. And if you watch, like, I love football, like, so much, right? And it's I saw Coach Sirianni get interviewed on Pat McAfee's show not too long ago. Seems like a really cool guy. Seems like an interesting guy. Seems like everyone is rallying around, you know, him, and your group is like really, really well tied together. I mean, what's been the key from last year to this year? Is it everyone? Is it the experience level? Is it everyone fully meshed together now? The team effort is now fully in play, and you guys are just absolutely destroying people.
Yeah, I mean, I think the intangibles have always kind of been there. You know what I mean? As far as like our work ethic, our attitude, you know, the synergy of the team, you know, everybody's committed to winning. You know what I mean? Like, regardless of what that looks like, regardless of your role, you know what I mean? Everybody wants to play, but like, you know, we're committed to the bigger goal, which is, you know, to bring that Super Bowl, you know, to the city of Philadelphia. So that's always been there from an intangible standpoint. You know, schematically, whenever you bring in a new coach and new coaching staff, you know, there's things that you got to learn, you know what I mean? And so I think with a year under our belt, you know, we had some ups, we had some downs last year, obviously starting like 2-5 or whatever we were, you know, we had to find our identity. You know what I mean? And everybody had to kind of get more comfortable with new terminology, new schemes. And so now that we've gotten a year under our belt, with those intangibles, like now we going at it now because we can play faster, we're more comfortable in the scheme, both on both sides of the ball. So, and special teams. So, I think we got a good thing going, man. But it's just the idea of, our leadership, starting from the top, and trickling throughout the team that's kind of propelling us through, the situations that we face.
Now, this is kind of perfect timing to have you on because I don't know if you were able to scroll on your phone yesterday or see any updates, but here in Indianapolis, there was some pretty wild shit that went down.
Yeah, I saw that.
Frank Reich, were you
Mm-mm.
there? No, you were at
I was. Yeah,
okay.
I was at the fight.
He got fired, and then all of a sudden, an hour or two later, the Colts announced that former center, current high school football coach, and ESPN analyst Jeff Saturday is going to be the new head coach for the time being. One, just as a current player in the NFL, your general thoughts on the move, and then two, try to put yourself in that situation in the Colts locker room. If that situation happened and all of a sudden this is going to be the guy you're getting the message from, what are you thinking?
Man, I honestly, I don't know, man. Like whenever it comes to like the front office moves and, the grand scheme of like administration, like all that kind of, I'm like, that's above my pay grade, dog.
Yeah.
That's above my pay grade, man. I'm here to play ball, but nah, man. I mean, hey, I don't know, bro. Front office, they do their thing. I just try and do my job. But I mean, as far as a player, I don't know. It just depends on, what type of new stuff is introduced. Obviously it's kind of in the middle of the season, so it's not the best. But it all just depends on the leadership on the team, man. It depends on, how guys rally around him. Obviously, how his mentality and his mindset gels with the guys that are in the locker room. So I don't know. It can go. You don't know. Obviously it's not ideal mid-season, but I don't know, bro. Sometimes you got to make moves like that, but
to quote Jeff Saturday as well, he just said, "Run the damn ball." So maybe fit in really well there. Like that was big Jeff Saturday quote. Who knows?
Yeah. Give it to that man, JT. I get it.
Yeah, exactly. I have an interesting question to kind of bring a little bit of racing into. Do you, after being sort of, because you got on the radios a little bit at Mid Ohio, I think you got involved with the team just a little bit, saw what was going on. Do you see any similarities in how an NFL team works? Obviously, a lot more people, a lot more players, but there's a big team effort in IndyCar, right? Like there's a lot of people that have to do their jobs to get that win. Could you see kind of immediately any, paths that could cross or similarities in how a group of people work together for that ultimate goal?
Yeah, man. Honestly, it kind of blew me away just how many moving parts there were. You know what I mean? Like how many people were in is it called the paddock or the pit space?
Yep.
I didn't realize how many people were in there and like how much, I just thought it was okay. You know what I'm saying? Like you get briefed and then you go out there and you drive and you're on your own. You know what I'm saying? There's feedback, whenever you're done with practice, you come back and you have engineers on site that are telling you, hey, look, this, that, or this or that and the other. So, there's a lot of moving pieces. So that's the same thing like with the NFL, man. Like it's not just, okay, Jalen, go out there, win us the game, dog. You know what I'm saying? He has the OC in his ear. The head coach is obviously on the field, giving him feedback. And, it's definitely that team oriented environment. And it's the same thing with racing. So that's a pretty cool aspect. Pretty cool.
Boston, if you were an IndyCar driver, who of your teammates would you want to be your strategist, the guy calling your race?
Strategist.
That's a good question.
Okay.
When are you pitting? How much fuel are we taking? What are we doing? Who's got the brains?
Who do you trust?
Oh, Jason Kelce.
Oh,
Jason
all right.
Kelce, for sure.
I see it.
Yeah, that'd be he is by far, like, he's an athletic beast. Walk on, by the way, walk on, that walk on swag. But I think what's kind of underrated that people don't really realize is how smart he is. You know what I'm saying? From recognizing defenses, from, making protection calls. You know what I mean? Like him and Jalen work together a lot, but Kelsey's making a lot of the calls whenever it comes to protection. So that's pretty dope. That's pretty dope. So I definitely think that, from an analytical standpoint, he will definitely be able to get your boy right. Let me know when to come in for new tires. You know what I'm saying? And that would definitely be the guy. Definitely.
Now, speaking of Jason, did you guys give him shit because a week before he said, I don't play dress up, I play football. And then the next week he's wearing a damn Batman mask on the side. Which is it?
Hey, man, look, like I said, Jason Kelsey is a smart dude. He's a smart guy. You know what I'm saying? Pub is pub. You know what I mean? So if it brings in the clicks, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Nah, but
it goes viral, then all of a sudden he's got a freaking mask on. What the
boom! You know what I mean? It's just such a smart market move, man. He's a genius.
Big business. Big business.
Yeah. He's a genius.
So what do you think is your next racing experience? Like, we honestly, you have to come to the Indy 500. Like, I definitely would love to have you there next year. It's going to be an incredible weekend. So put that, pencil that in on the schedule. But other than
Conor is
that,
the host of hosts, by the way. If you ever need anything at IMS, the Indy 500, the month of May, you go to Conor. He's like the Godfather. He's just like, I'll take care of it.
Let's get it.
Gets you in. So he's definitely, and then the after party is the most important.
Yes,
so,
that as well.
Yes, sir.
I will also be the after party connoisseur for us. No big deal. But is there, like, obviously, like, I assume that maybe you might have watched a little bit of the Netflix Drive to Survive for Formula One. Did you watch any of that?
I've watched all of it.
There you go. Yeah, see? Okay, we're on the same page. I love it. So do you, like, obviously we try to focus on IndyCar, but we talk a lot about Formula One. We talk a lot about NASCAR because, again, my whole goal, and again, I don't have a powerful voice, but, like, I watch all motorsport, right? Like, I love Formula One. I love NASCAR and I love IndyCar. Obviously, I'm a little bit more biased towards IndyCar because that's what puts food on my table. But we love being able to say, hey, look, if you like racing, you can watch it all, really. Like, you can go to it all, watch it all. Like, again, you might have your preferences, but what's next? You think, like, do you want to go check out the glitz and the glamour of the Formula One event? Like, would you like to see a NASCAR race? Like, what do you think is next on your list of things to get into?
I want to race.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, we got a racing driver here.
I love that.
We could make that happen. Honestly, we could make that happen,
bro. I'm telling you. Okay, I'm not gonna say. Anyway, I would love to race. Bro. I would honestly love. I would love to. But nah, man. I've been kind of thinking about that. Obviously, I want to be able to, be a spectator and watch, a lot of these events, man. Formula One, obviously seeing the documentary on Netflix is something that I want to check out, as well as, kind of get to some of those iconic spots, Monte Carlo, all that kind of stuff. So, that's something that I would definitely want to experience. But honestly, like I said, like going to this IndyCar event, the feeling that I had in my chest, bro, is something that I definitely want to be around, whenever football comes to an end. Unfortunately, it will one day come to an end. It's definitely something that I'm going to look into, man, and how I can be involved. Even now, you know what I mean? I won't be able to be involved in the capacity that I want to, but, I know that Alvin Kamara is actually involved with NASCAR right now. So I don't know, I'm sure there's someone that I can speak to or something like that. I would love to get involved, whether that's, bringing more awareness to the sport or, I don't know, but yeah, I mean, I want to be involved, bro. I want to be involved. I really do.
We'd love to have you at IndyCar for sure. That'd be fantastic. Love to hear your passion about it because listen, man, I'm like you where, I grew up in Indianapolis. So the 500 and the Motor Speedway were a part of my life, but I didn't really fall in love with it until, like you, I was there. Yeah. And I was feeling that the roar of the cars, the feeling in my chest, like you mentioned, and then here we are. So I hear you on that. And it's totally possible for new fans to have that same experience. So I'm glad to hear that. One last one I got for you on the football side. Is this an undefeated Eagles team we're looking at here? You're making history in Philadelphia.
I'll say this. I would love for it to be. You know what I mean? The NFL, It's the NFL though. It's hard to win every week, man. It is really hard to win every week. You know what I mean? And so I think the best thing that we can do is what we've been doing, since the beginning of the season, just taking it a day at a time. Literally, like in our meetings, like it's not just taking it a day at a time, it's taking it just a section of the day at a time. Like Nick has on there, like, don't look at the peak of the mountain. So everybody loves him and his analogies. Everybody loves that. But so he's like, don't look at the top of the mountain. It looks great, or it can look daunting. Like, oh, dang, it's way up there. Or, man, it looks real good up there. Like, you just got to stay consistent. Like, take it from meeting to walkthrough to meeting to practice to meeting. It's a lot of meetings, but to meetings, you know what I'm saying? So, just taking it one step at a time, man, and just being present, bro. That's the biggest thing. I think everybody's committed to that. And I think that's a big part of our success. So I would love to be undefeated. I think that would be dope. But, we just got to take it a day at a time.
I love it, man. I really appreciate you being on here. You still owe me a jersey, by the way. No big deal. We can organize that at some point.
I got you. Yeah, we got it. Yeah.
But yeah, man. I love hearing your thoughts on our sport, right? Because it's something that I love a lot, and I love football too. I love to hear about that. But we would love to have you at any race. But also, if your teammates want to come too, everyone's welcome. We want to bring everyone out. We want to get everyone to check it out. I have
Kelsey at the Indy 500 would be a force to be reckoned
with. Hilarious.
Yeah. Man, look, after I came back, so obviously it was during the off season or whatever, but they basically showed like a slideshow of stuff that we were doing during the off season. They showed me in with the pit crew, in the paddock, and people were just like, hey, yo. And I'm like, let's
go.
Come on, let's go. Let's get it. And they just they're asking me questions about it. And they're like, man, what's it like? You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, bro, you would love it. So I already know a bunch of guys that would be interested in going.
Love that.
Mm-hmm.
I love it, man. I think one thing that I found was kind of funny as well is I met one of the athletic trainers for the Kansas City Chiefs, and he was like, oh, we had a lot of like low-key race fans in our building. And I was like, really? I was like, no way. Because I had met Travis Kelce at the Indy 500 like a couple years ago, and he loved it. He had a great time. So you know what? Maybe there's this like low-key racing fan community in the NFL that we didn't know about.
You know what? Because here's the thing, though. Here's the thing, bro. Here's the thing. Like, if you look at, so obviously with NFL players and whatnot, like if you look at their cars, people think that it's like a money type thing. Like they love the luxury, but not like, I would say 99% of the guys is because they are fans of cars. They are fans of racing. You know what I'm saying? Like that's why they have cars like that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I exactly. So I think, there's definitely like, guys are just looking for ways to get into. They don't have an idea of like how to get into it. You know what I'm saying? So like, just kind of creating that awareness,
Our next interview will be after your initial jump into the sports car racing community or your first open wheel race. We're going to get you in at the ground level. We're going to have a great time with it. I really appreciate you coming on here, man. I don't want to take up too much of your time because look, we're trying to focus on an undefeated season here. So thank you so much. And you're invited to the Indy 500 and we're going to have a great time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You best believe I'm going to be there, dog.
Thanks, Boston.
Appreciate y'all, man. All right.
See you, buddy.
Later.
Love hearing that conversation with Boston Scott. What a guy, very enthusiastic about everything, but especially motorsport, especially IndyCar, which we love to see and hear. And would love to have him, hopefully, if I'm set up, maybe Mount Comfort, Rusty Eckstein. Out maybe next year, Boston can come stay in Mount Comfort RV. With me or Conor, probably me, because Conor's got to be focused on his job in the month of May. But either way, great conversation. Appreciate the time there. Conor, thanks for setting that up, man. He was great.
Yeah, absolutely. I really, really enjoyed that interview. I knew he would be a good interview. He does a lot of really cool stuff in the whole esports arena and the gaming arena. And I think he is a guy that understands. And the same with Austin Eckler, which is how we met. Austin Eckler right now is absolutely killing it in the NFL.
Yeah.
Obviously with the LA Chargers doing some fantastic things on the field, like literally insane athlete stuff. And thanks to Austin, who Austin is, again, someone I would also like to have on this show. those guys, I think, are smartly thinking ahead, right? Like, as he said, football only lasts a certain amount of time, right? And so what's next? What comes afterwards? I know that Boston does a ton in the esports arena, plays a lot of games, but like as part of a team, all kinds of stuff like that. So I could see him getting involved in racing at some point. You know what I mean? Like, maybe they win the Super Bowl and he comes out and is, an IndyCar sponsor at some point. Who knows? Or maybe he buys into a team. Maybe he buys, part of an IndyCar team. I mean, there's many ways to look at it. And he loves to do it. I could honestly see him getting into a race car, going to the Skip Barber Racing School, doing whatever you got to do to get in a race car. So
yeah, he was adamant. I mean, he
really
into it. Yeah.
He has one of I did trade him a Nomex shirt, which is why I told him he owes me a jersey. So we are doing a jersey swap of sorts. So I'm excited to hang that on the wall, and maybe it'll be a Super Bowl champion jersey. Who knows?
Looking like it, man. They're a tough out, that's for sure. All right, let's wrap it up with our Ricky Treadway random Indy 500 driver of the week. What do you got?
Yes, I was looking back at our data, looking back at what years we've used for the Indy 500, and I went with the 1984 Indy 500. I think we've only had one driver from the 1984 race. Rick Mears, obviously the winner, four-time Ricky. Right. And I went with a driver who I know, but again, it's a name that I have not heard in a long time. But he has done a lot in the motorsport community. Went from a driver to an owner as well. This is the person who finished 14th in the 1984 Indy 500, Tom Gloy. So Tom Gloy was born in Lafayette, California. Racing the kart championship kart series, and 84 Indy 500, and he
started
won the
fifth as a rookie.
Yes, yeah, won the Formula Atlantic Championship, competed in the IROC series, and then he owned a team in the NASCAR Truck Series from 97 to 99. So interesting switch up there. And he fielded trucks for veterans of the Trans Am Series, which is pretty cool. But then also to kind of like bring this back to IndyCar, he was president of Blair Racing. Now, I remember Blair Racing because they were kind of an underdog team, and they had Alex Barron driving for them in 2002. And I remember this car because I was an Alex Barron fan. And really, really cool to just bring some knowledge about Tom Gloy back into the scene, because I liked what he did for Alex Barron. I like that. I like cheering for an underdog team. And again, I didn't know a ton about his driving career itself.
There you go. Tom Gloy started fifth in the 1984 Indianapolis 500 as a rookie, and still with us, thankfully. And he has had quite the life and career in motorsport. So love it. Thanks, Conor. All right. Glad to be back. I am COVID free. I'm feeling healthy. One of my football teams is doing well, one not so much, which is all right. Jeff Saturday is apparently a head coach in the NFL now. Joe Logano's the NASCAR Cup Championship winner. All good things, man, as we head towards the end of 2022 here. A lot of exciting stuff coming up on Speed Street. We'll get more guests. We're working on some segment ideas to be able to throw around for you guys. And me and Conor and Ben are just loving being here every week to talk motorsport and have fun with you guys. So appreciate you being here. Don't forget that the video episode should be up a day after we go live with the audio version, that you can follow, subscribe there on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. But then on the Dirty Mo Media YouTube channel, you can find us there as well. If you want to watch along, love to have you. Appreciate Boston Scott being on the show today. Conor, any last words for us?
I don't think so. We completely ignored the fact that I raced a Chevy El Camino over the weekend. We can get into that more next week, because we got a lot of things that we kind of can spread across this off season. I wanted to focus, more on the NASCAR championship today. And that was really cool. So we had a great guest, great talk about NASCAR, and just stay tuned. Be a friend, tell a friend about the show, and tell a friend about IndyCar. That's actually your goal as well. As a listener, just tell a friend about IndyCar. That's it.
There you go. Love it. All right. As always, we will talk to you again next week on Speed Street.